I've done this twice before, back in the early months of the year in Fallout 3, and once again in New Vegas back in mid-June to early July. Now, we finished this trilogy on my birthday with something a little different. A lot has changed over these past 9 months. I got an editor, changed my style of content, grew my channel, and have exposed myself to a lot of new experiences. However, will these experiences be enough for me to finish this trilogy and vanquish Todd's greatest challenge? Can I beat Fallout 4 as myself? The rules are the same as always. I can only use firearms, which I have used before in real life, along with melee and unarmed weapons that I currently own, which, unfortunately for me, means I'm stuck with a very anemic list of weapons to work with. The usable guns are the hunting rifle, that's it. The usable melee weapons are the combat knife, the machete, the sledgehammer, the baseball bat, the swatter, the rolling pin, and the pipe wrench. And the usable unarmed weapons are the boxing gloves and, of course, my fists. One change in the rules is that, since this video is coming out on my 21st birthday, I will now be able to drink alcohol throughout the run, although I still cannot use any other chems. I also added a little challenge for myself last time in New Vegas, where I decided I would also beat the DLCs during the playthrough. This time, I will be adding 3 additional stipulations, first being that before the end of the run, I will have to upgrade my special stats to 1 past what they were in Fallout 3. For example, since my strength stat was at 4, I'll have to upgrade it to level 5 in this run. This reflects how I have grown and changed as a person since I started this trilogy. Since I have to do this with all my stats and this would take several levels, I decided I wouldn't take any perks until I got my stats where they needed to be. This would be a mistake for several reasons. The second stipulation is that I will only be allowed to wear pre-war outfits, more specifically the ones that appear in this wiki article. You know, since my entire closet is only pre-war clothes. This means that I will be completely defenseless unless I take certain perks or side with the railroad. The third and final stipulation is that I will not be able to intentionally use any glitches or bugs to my advantage. This means no item duping, no getting dog meat to grab the cryolator, and no adding the MIRV attachment to a pipe pistol to create a weapon of unspeakable destruction. Now, with all that out of the way, let's finally begin the playthrough. We start out in the mirror and... I'm married? To a woman? Ah, man, failed the challenge already. Pack it up, guys. Let's go home. I try to make a character that is decently true to life, and then I set up my build. I then realized that to improve all my stats to the level I need to before the end of the game, I'm going to have a lot of work to do. I then try to play with the son I definitely don't have in real life, and my game crashes. Thanks, Todd. After I boot back up, I recreate my character and head to the vault, where I and my imaginary family are frozen in cryopods. I am also forced to wear this stupid vault jumpsuit until I get a Pip-Boy and can take it off. So technically, that fails the only pre-war outfits part of the challenge. I start punching some roaches and gathering their meat for later because cooking in this game is so much more viable than New Vegas. It's not even funny. We leave the vault, find Codsworth, then start looking around for clothes to cover myself. I am very fortunate to find a pre-war outfit in one of the houses in Sanctuary, a nice tuxedo that actually matches one I have in my closet particularly well. However, this does not have any protection for me, and my stats are still quite low for now, so I need to get moving towards Railroad HQ with a quickness if I want any protection. I begin scrapping in Sanctuary to find any useful bits and bobs, then I go get my special boy dog meat. Since I'm currently living with my dog, dog meat will be my constant companion throughout this run, unless the game decides to pull some BS and take him from me, which does happen. I then clear out the bottom of Red Rocket and head out to Concord to find my first weapon of the run, the baseball bat in one of the Concord houses. Not really one of the strongest weapons, but it will serve me decently well for now. I then head back to Sanctuary, upgrade it with some razor blades to give it some bleed damage, and I am blown away by how much more effective it is. Spoiler warning, this will be a theme for the rest of the run. We start heading south immediately for 2 main reasons. To find a hunting rifle and the legendary pipe wrench Big Jim, both at Walden Pond. We head into the pond tunnel and dear God, these raiders are tough with no protection from their bullets. They nearly get the better of me multiple times until I finally get through them and can claim my 2 prizes. Skipping ahead a fair amount, I then convince Wolfgang to leave Drumlin Diner and its 2 occupants alone. I buy a small amount of 308 ammo and begin clearing out Concord for Preston. I then do the same with the interior of the museum, and then I begin the tried and true method of cheesing the Deathclaw in the electronics store across the street from the church and the Museum of Freedom. I do help with the damage a small amount, but tragically, not enough to get any XP for the kill. After that debacle, I help set up Sanctuary for its new occupants, even though I have no intentions of continuing the Minutemen questline. I mostly just do this to make it so that I have water purifying and someone looking for scrap while I'm gone for me to use later. Hashtag Hydro Homies, am I right, gang? I then head down to Lexington to go to Super Duper Mart and the bank to begin my capitalist takeover of the wasteland. I pick over 100 pre-war money at the bank, as well as many dozen in the cash registers at the grocery store, and the perk magazine that lowers prices at vendors. This will come in handy when we are going for the Tinker Tom special. I then finally get around to going for my favorite perk in the game, the Wasteland Survival Guide at Sunshine Tidings Co-op. Double meat on every animal killed in the entire game is absurdly good. After that, I head to Cambridge to watch Dance kill a bunch of feral freaks so I can loot all their bodies. Then I go grab a sniper rifle for parts on top of one of the buildings in town. I also decide to discover green tech genetics for later, as well as heading to Bunker Hill to get more ammo and caps for buying the aforementioned Tinker Tom special. Finally, I head into the headquarters of everyone's least favorite faction, which I unfortunately must go with again today, since I need their ballistic weave, the rifle I've been talking about for this whole script up to now, and they are the faction I would side with in real life, because murdering a bunch of sentient synthetic people wouldn't sit right with me, and as far as the Institute, they are led by someone pretending to be my son who doesn't exist, so they have to go as well. I go with Deacon to their former headquarters for Tradecraft, and I get a worthless PPK since I'm not James Bond. Don't worry, the final challenge in his series will be coming soon. At least I can sell it later. We then purchase Tinker Tom's special, finally, and it's fine. It's whatever. The accuracy boost is good, the suppressor is good, but it isn't doing nearly enough damage since we haven't been taking perks yet at this point. I will still be using it for the rest of the run, however, because my high charisma build allows me to get tons of ammo at vendors for almost nothing in terms of caps. I then take my new weapon and start doing quests for the railroad, and we finally get around to obtaining some ballistic weave armor. And it's a bathrobe. Nice. Nothing like taking on the wasteland in comfort with some nice fluffy slippers to keep your feet warm. After that, I decide to clear out Pikmin's gallery since I can use his blade, and this is, quite possibly, the best decision I could possibly make for the run. While it's not a minigun or an automatic weapon, the faster attack speed on this weapon, combined with both the wounding legendary effect and the stealth blade attachment, make it so that this weapon deals insane bleed damage. This will be my crutch for the rest of the run. After that, I head down to Cabot House to start working on getting my charisma bobblehead, since that's the only way to raise my charisma from 10 to 11 for my self-improvement challenge. I get the quest to go grab the stolen serum for Jack, then I look around his house for my prize. I guess I misremembered its location because it's actually located in Parsons State Insane Asylum at the end of Cabot's questline. I leave Cabot House and avoid doing their quest for now, instead opting to go rescue Nick Valentine. I head into the station with my arsenal of weapons and begin clearing out the Triggermen. I begin using Tinker Tom's special more often here because the sneak attacks are doing a lot of damage. However, my load times were getting very long, so I ended the stream there and performed a little fix that was supposed to lower the load times. I don't think it worked very well, since my load times were still upwards of 1 to 2 minutes for the rest of the run, so that was a waste of time. After this, I decide to leave Park Street Station and head to Diamond City without Nick because I want to get Ellie to pay me more. However, I just so happened to go into the city on Halloween, which caused me to get distracted from my main goal and instead go to Arturo and Mo to procure more weapons and ammo. It was here that I picked up the Rockville Slugger. I didn't use it very often for the rest of the run, but I guess it's cool to have yet another legendary weapon. I then head back to the station, enter Vault 114, and rescue our man Nick. We then convinced Darla to go home, and then murdered Skinny and his gang with great haste. It was at this point that I realized how powerful Pikmin's blade could be, and began using it more often as a result. After telling Nick to fuck off back to Diamond City without us, we then headed north to go pick up that serum for Jack, and nothing of note happened for the rest of the stream after that. In between streams, however, I decided to do something that was perhaps a little strange. I was also playing a different playthrough just for fun, so I was in the Creation Club looking for mods to add to my game. However, if you've seen my YouTube shorts, you'll know that my dog in real life is not a German Shepherd, but a Golden Retriever. I saw that there was a Creation Club mod that allowed you to pick different dog breeds for dog meat to appear as, called the Trans Dogrifier. I also saw that there was a pack that included every dog breed, and it was on sale, along with some other stuff that I wanted. I then used the power of US currency to purchase not only the Trans Dogrifier, but also every single dog rescue mission, the military backpack mod, and several others that I would not use in this playthrough. I did end up doing a couple of the dog rescue missions in the rest of the game, but not too many so as to exploit them because they're generally easy missions. I think I only ever rescued the Pit Bull, the Border Collie, and the other Golden Retriever. I also did end up using the backpack for a few reasons. Number one is that I'm a very avid hiker, as I have said multiple times in videos and on my podcast, which you should totally be listening to if you aren't already. It's in the link tree in the description. Go check it out. Reason number two is that I literally have a hiking backpack that's very similar to it sitting in my garage right now. I felt like that would definitely justify using it for this playthrough, but feel free to dislike the video if you think that makes it too easy. I personally believe that Creation Club, due to it being paid content that Bethesda officially endorses and that doesn't disable achievements when you use Creation Club mods, means that it is official game content and that it is fair to use in a challenge run if you want. After checking out the quests I got, I decided to go give the serum back to Edward because I wouldn't put some weird substance in my body other than the spam I eat for breakfast almost every day. Side note, Hormel, I love your products. Please sponsor my podcast. I then go to Charles View Amphitheater to go get Jack's sister, and this is where I realized that this script is just crossing 2,500 words at this point, and we are maybe halfway through this playthrough. I had a mini breakdown about how much more I would have to write, got the fuck over myself, and then went back to writing. However, from this point on, I am going to be condensing a little bit because Fallout 4 is a long-ass game. I then go with Jack to go kill his dad in the asylum. We clear out the raiders, I finally get my charisma bobblehead, and then I flip some switches in the basement to use some kind of radiation to kill this immortal old fuck with a magic beetle on his head that gives him psychic powers. Neat! I then leave the asylum, head to Nick's office, and then get started on finding Kellogg. I use my speech skills to get the key from the mayor, search Kellogg's house, and then tell Dogmeat to go find part of a balanced breakfast. We then head inside and deal with the synths fairly easily, then take out Kellogg in seconds because Pikmin's blade is an absolute beast of a weapon. We take his brain bits, head back to Nick, then do the memory den bullshit, which never ceases to be the most boring thing in existence. Also, at some point or another during this stream, I finally managed to level up my skills to the necessary levels for my little self-improvement thing that I wanted to do, so I could finally start taking perks. I forget where though, hopefully my editor can find it and include the clip here. After that ordeal, we head out into Good Neighbor and start traveling towards the glowing sea. It wasn't too difficult in this run, even though the only radiation protection I had was Rad-X and Radaway, and we spoke to Virgil about the plans for the teleporter, after which he sends me to Green Tech Genetics for the Courser chip. This was a pretty tough dungeon. The sheer amount of firepower the gunners were packing was pretty overwhelming for me, even with my armored bathrobe. Missile Guy definitely got my ass a couple times, as per usual, but eventually we made it up to the Courser and ran his fade using a combination of Dogmeat and Pikmin's blade. We then rescue the trap synth and head back to Virgil to get the plans. We then get the chip decoded, then go to Red Rocket Station, which the railroad previously had me turn into Mercer's safe house, since I hadn't claimed it for myself at that point. I then built the teleporter and finally headed into the Institute. I then met with Father, who was actually pretending to be my son, weird, then met up with the rest of the Institute leaders so I could leave and come back at will. I then loaded up the railroad's holotape to begin the process of freeing the synths. I met up with Liam and Z1, headed back to Desdemona, and began the Cambridge Polymer Labs quest, which then bugged out after I built the piezonucleic power armor chest, which meant I had to trigger the security alarm, which I specifically didn't want to do, but I had to do it anyway because Todd Howard specifically makes his games to piss me off. I then headed back to Liam with the username and password, busted out the synths by murdering some synth guards, and then headed to Father so he could send me to Libertalia. However, I do end up dying on the way, which causes me to rage quit the game and the stream. I boot up the game again and head for Libertalia once more, and we, of course, run into the Brotherhood Patrol that, until they die, causes X688 to avoid doing his damn job. I think that's gotta be scripted, right? I can never avoid running into them. The knight finally dies after doing a pretty solid job clearing out the raiders for us, and then our courser friend finally gets up off his ass and helps us clear out the rest of the bad guys. We managed to snipe the Fat Man Raider and a legendary one who is actually carrying a weapon we can use, an assassin's combat knife, but it's not nearly as good as Pikmin's blade, so we don't end up using it. We head up into the crow's nest and we get the synth back to the Institute, and then I decide to try going for a different legendary weapon, Krem's Tooth. We snipe and or stab all the raiders and the ghouls and pick up our blade, and it has some good effects, but again, not nearly as good as Pikmin's, sadly. I also decide it's time to change our style, since I really don't like the bathrobe anymore. I go head to Good Neighbor and pick up a nice tan suit and a newsboy beret, then armor them up so we can use them for the rest of the run. We then try to turn in synth retention with Sean, and this is where our problem commences. We go visit our quarters, and then it doesn't turn in the quest. We then sleep in the bed, and it doesn't work either. I then look up the issue, and then I see I have to fast travel back to Libertalia to get the quest to complete. Shout out to Reddit user Sonnet155 for the fix. Frustrated from the broken quest, I head back into the Institute, drop a save, and begin taking my rage out on the innocent denizens until I am killed. I reload my save and head up to a meeting with Father, who tells me to go to Bunker Hill and help another courser recover more synths. I then go back and tell Dez that the Institute is coming for the synths at Bunker Hill, and then I leave to go rescue the Pitbull since I used to have one a few years ago. I also try to clear out University Point, but I get lost and give up because there are multiple doors that I can't lockpick. Bunker Hill is mostly the same as always. I free the synths and kill my Courser escort with very little issue. I then begin killing the super mutants at CIT Ruins to get up to see the man still claiming to be my son, who berates me for letting the synths go, but then still invites me to go to an important meeting with Institute leadership. I then head to this boring-ass meeting, and then I get confirmation that this Father character can't possibly be my offspring, because I and anyone related to me can't stand sitting through boring-ass meetings like this. I get further confirmation that I'm not related to this clown, because any son of mine wouldn't be stupid enough to put someone like me in charge of something like the Institute. Unfortunately, after the meeting, I make a little fucky-wucky, and I accidentally tell Allie Fillmore not to come with me and help get the beryllium agitator, and then I have to sit through the boring meeting again to choose a different dialogue option with her. During the fight on top of Mass Fusion, I decide to break one of my rules about not using any exploits, but I do have a reason for this. Since the Institute teleports me to the top of the building, but not Dogmeat, with no option to go and get him beforehand, I cannot use my companion during this fight unless I do the jump into Good Neighbor method. This does make sense from a lore perspective, because the Courser chip in my Pip-Boy would only affect Dogmeat if he was in close proximity to me, and the Institute definitely would not let me bring him with me inside their operation. However, I love my dog, and I would argue that my love for him trumps the laws of physics and logic, so just this once, I allow myself to use this exploit. Except that's a lie, as you'll soon see. I bring Dogmeat back up with me, and we clear out the rest of the Brotherhood. Then we jump off again to go to the ground floor instead of riding the elevator down. I don't really have a defense for this other than if I knew I could pull this off in real life, I would absolutely abuse it. We head down to the chamber, I butt chug about 15 rataways, and I secure the agitator, which wakes up security. However, unlike some of my other runs, I can actually fight the bots, and I come out victorious by using tons of healing supplies and food that I had been cooking up. I literally had over 150 stimpaks by this point in the game, so I think we probably could have called it here, except for one or two more fights later on. I bring back the agitator, talk to Father, and then I rescue a border collie before I engage in one of the cruelest betrayals in the game. I have to go bring a scientist named Wallace out of hiding so the Institute can collect him. I promise that I'm not going to hurt him, which brings him out of the room he has barricaded himself in. The irony here is that I will be descending on the Institute like an angel of death here in less than 2 hours, and I will personally be the one to end him. I then plug in the reactor and receive some terrible news. The Brotherhood has found the railroad. I then travel back to HQ, warn Dez, and begin defending from the assault. Pikmin's blade again shines here, and I think it might be my favorite melee weapon in the entire game. With how good the bleed stack is, the Brotherhood barely stands a chance at all. This continues when Deacon, Tom, and I head to Cambridge Police Station to procure a vertibird and take out the rest of the Brotherhood. We begin the slaughter on the Pridwin, since we aren't allowed to wear a Brotherhood uniform, and while it's a tough fight and we do use a lot of healing supplies, it isn't nearly as tough as Maxon, who almost immediately obliterates us with his Gatling laser. We have to use a lot of healing supplies to get through the initial fight, including an accidental Fury, which makes me have to reset and do it again. Through tons of healing supplies and the power of the bleed stack, we get the better of the final Pridwin survivors, and we destroy the Brotherhood. We then get set up to destroy the Institute right after, heading to the teleportation room and engaging the scientists with Z1 to clear a path for our reinforcements. The final assault was fairly anticlimactic for the most part, but we are doing it without Dogmeat, which is extremely tragic. We snipe and stab and slice our way through the synths and scientists who stand in our way. Father gives us his code to evacuate the innocents, and then he is dispatched with a Pikmin's blade to the torso. That's okay, he's definitely not my son anyway. I then strip him down to his underwear, because why not? Give the order to evacuate, and then I head to Advanced Systems to end this playthrough. I head in through the door, give Wallace a chance to retreat, but he punches me, which is an immediate red flag. I repay him for this toxic behavior by planting a blade in him and killing him instantly. We then head into the reactor room where the legendary synths do get the better of me, but I am able to plant the bomb, teleport out, choose to save my real son, and then detonate the warhead and destroy the Institute, proving that, yes, I can sort of beat Fallout 4 as myself. I am very handsome. Thank you all for watching this video. It was a bitch to script, and I'm sure it'll be a bitch to edit for my editor, so please go check out their channel. The link will be in the description below. Also, leave a like and comment on this video if you enjoyed this and or you want to wish me a happy birthday. I record the footage for these challenges over on Twitch, so if you want to be a part of these videos, go to the link tree in the description and head on over there. Also in that link tree is my Discord server and my other social media accounts, where you can go if you want to suggest a video idea or hang out with other fans of the channel. Thank you again for watching, and I'll catch y'all in the next video.